Hey guys, it's Triple Layered here, and welcome back to Nimera Talk. Now, you guys have been amazing, and we have finalized the questions for the AMA, so we will go over what those are going to be. We also get a treat today. One of our own members has created a third-party wallet that's going to work on the Nimera blockchain and Nimera 2.0 blockchain. So let's not delay anymore, and let's get started. What a cool way to be able to start this week. Yes, one of our own at VSVS, you'll see him on the Discord server. He has created a third party, this is just a beta desktop wallet using the Nimera blockchain. And of course, he's going to be continually working. So as the documentation comes out for Nimera blockchain 2.0, he'll be able to implement that as well. So currently, we do not have a desktop client for channels. So there's been a couple different attempts in the past to play around with this using the current system and documentation to create one on a third-party level. So what we're going to do today is we're going to take a quick look through his video walkthrough he made of the wallet, and then over the next few weeks I will get that installed and we'll do a little bit more in-depth testing to see how it works. Let's take a look at the demo video of the wallet itself. So we'll press play here. I'll get my mouse out of the way, and we can see he's opened up the wallet and he's gone into the main page. So he's going to do a new account here, and that should open up that, and that will create a new seed to create a new EON or NION address. And of course, you have to register these addresses when you click them with the network. So he's going to do that now. This is a standard portal that's been there before for a long time in order to put your public key and register it on the network for use. And there we have the phone number going in and the CAPTCHA, and he's signing up. This is a normal process that we had before for any sort of desktop-based wallets or anything that's done through the command prompt. And now it should be set up for use. So he's going to open it up, and this is tied directly to the Nimera blockchain. And as you can see there, he's got the different wallets that are set up from within this. Now, the way that this works on the Nimera blockchain is through these excellent color coins, which makes it very, very fast to change different transactions between even different blockchains. So let's see what he's doing here now. He's opened up. You can see the block explorer in order to type in a search for the address itself. It's cool. It's cool that you can actually just go in the block explorer from the wallet. I do like that. It's just overall, guys, this is amazing that we have just a community member who's created this, who has the development skills to do it. A little donation page that VSVS has up there for his work. I'm sure he'll get lots of donations to keep this web wallet going. He has a feature here to check nodes. And yeah, that's just going back to the main previous EON monitoring page there that shows us all the nodes and the depth of trades and also the difficulty of transactions and what's waiting to be confirmed within the network from all of the master nodes. Very, very cool stuff there, and a great effort from VSVS. Of course, we have to say a disclaimer here. This is a third-party piece of software. It does not come from the Nimera team, so you have to use it at your own risk, and it is still in the very early stages. But just an amazing effort, and I hope we continue to have constant community engagement like this in the future. Now, of course, with Nimera 2.0, the whole basis of this system will be entire new projects can be based off of our blockchain. So this is only the tip of the iceberg. Now on to something that you guys have been waiting for. Of course, we have the AMA, the first AMA in 2021 coming up with the Nimera CEO, Andrew Zamin. And you guys over the last few months have really come up with some amazing questions, especially since the relaunch. So I'm going to go over these questions right now, and these will be the final questions that I asked to Andrew. So basically, guys, the plan here is between the 15th and 18th of this month, there's a window that me and Andrew have set aside to try to get the filming done in there. Now, sometimes after that, it takes time to translate his native language and to also make sure that the answers are translated in a document form for the people who prefer to read. So that sometimes takes a few days. So next week's episode may not be exactly on Sunday. It may be a day after or a day early. Who knows, but I will keep you guys up to date on the Discord. So without any delay, let's look at the questions that you guys came up with. Now, the amazing thing about this sheet is that There are 13 questions. Normally we go for 10 because that generally takes about the full amount of time that we have to do this. But they're just, your guys' questions were so good on this one that we could not exclude some of these, and we just had to keep them in. So here's our questions. The first one's going to be, how do you feel the Nimera rebrand has gone? And do you believe the project will finally make profits for the company and its investors in 2021? Excellent. Number two, there's been talk of virtual cards and services, like we talked about debit cards too. Will the Nimera provide physical debit cards for those who want them? Even though we know that those could have higher fees or whatever, but some people might still want that. Number three, now that we are in the new year, can you give us an update on Nion 2.0, the new blockchain, and a release timeline? We're going to ask Andrew for number four. There are large issues with the fiat on-ramp and off-ramp. This is getting fiat currency into the exchange or into channels and back out again, including account conception to depositing fiat. Is this being looked at? Number five, are there any plans to get us listed on any other exchanges or on CMC? We've said in the past that the Nion ERC20 was created for this, but we have not seen it used yet. So that's an excellent question. Really, really solid ones here, guys, and I can't wait to see what Andrew says. Number six, can we look at a development roadmap which outlines which version we're on and what we are trying to achieve in following versions, and when can we actually expect this? Well thought out. Number seven, you mentioned in the last the last AMA that EON/Nion needs value and a reason why users need to hold it. You mentioned use case would be published, but nothing has been as of yet. Can you share some of your thoughts on this to bring value to EON/Nion? So of course, the token's ability to have value within the system is going to affect its demand, which of course affects price. And I know that in the last AMA, Andrew kind of gave a sneak to say he couldn't talk about it at that moment, but there is a very strong plan to implement the utilization of the token within the new 2.0 blockchain to cause more demand. So I'm very curious myself on that one. Number eight, Nimera is a private company. However, there is a growing concern within the community regarding the current market price of Nion, very similar to the question before, and the liquidity to the Nimera company. Should we be worried if Nion cannot establish itself as a player in this space throughout 2021? So really, this user wants to know what is the financial viability of the company and kind of what timeline the company can maintain itself until that massive adoption or growth does happen. Excellent question. Number nine, Nimera has high fees and high barriers of entry. Like the KYC restrictions are really strong because, of course, it's based out of Estonia, so the laws are strong. Compared to other exchanges, are there plans to reduce this and how? Are there any new projects that are actively being built on the Nimera blockchain? What happened to Crypto Tickets? Crypto Tickets was a project, it's still a project out there that was digitizing tickets on a blockchain and had a cool little app and stuff like that. And they were planning on going on the original EON blockchain. So the user's just asking for an example. Do we also have any new partners on the horizon? Now, number 11 here is a really intriguing one. The goal of Nimera is to be like a new era bank. How can you protect and secure the assets and data of users? For instance, say if Nimera were to go bankrupt in the future, or another CEO would run. Basically, old-fashioned banks have a certain amount of security. Like some countries, it's 100,000 euros or $100,000 that they insure your funds for in case something happens. As does Kraken, for instance, another exchange. So how would this work for Nimera, and how would this work in combination with multi-brokers? So it's a really curious question about what happens to users' funds and how are they secured in this type of system. Very good. Number 12, could the Nimera exchange provide staking coin service? This is a bit like a fixed deposit within traditional banks. We've seen this on multiple systems coming up now, so that's a good one. And number 13, the final question, if we get time to, guys, if we get time for this one, are you satisfied with the current volume on the exchange, even though it's not currently displaying correctly? Do you think it will grow much more in the next few years and months? So that's basically what we have for Andrew. Hopefully we get a chance to go through all of them. If we don't, we'll push those other ones off to a AMA that we'll do even sooner, because I personally think that all these questions really should be answered, and they're great questions from the community and from new investors as well. So I'm looking forward to hopefully filming that at the end of this upcoming week, and it should be probably the best one yet. Now on to the Nimera ecosystem health check. Everything is looking green across the board and all the gateways are open. We scroll down to past events. There's really been nothing this week as far as planned maintenance and downtime. I'm going to guess it's because the actual dev team is on their New Year's holidays and they do get back this coming week. So coming up tomorrow at the time of filming this, the dev team will be returning from their winter holidays, and we should see them hitting the ground running with a bunch of new updates to the system. But everything is up and running right now. Now on to the Nimera Exchange market news. Now let's start out here looking at BTC EON. Now we did still have it floating up in the million EON per BTC level. You'll see, guys, that whenever you see people put in this one little extra zero there, they're really hoping that you won't catch it and that you'll think it's like, 900,000 or something like that, and that you'll sell into it. It's a little bit of a trick, and it does work for some people, but just keep in mind to count the zeros before you do any trades. There is actually a few EON, about 7,550 here for sale at the million EON per BTC level, but that is pretty much where that ends. And then there's not too much available before we get down to our main point here. So the amount of EONs available are sitting really around the 750 and 450 level. A massive difference there. We're talking about 100% gain from that price there to get down to it. So really, I want to just point out what these days, with the price of BTC the way it is, what this actually means. So when you see a million EON per BTC, what does that actually mean in cost value? So really, we can just go over to Google here and type in the current price at the time of recording this of BTC versus that million, and that puts that pair at around just under 4 cents US there per EON against BTC. So it does seem like the value is diminishing when it goes up to a million, but really it's because the value of BTC has gone up. So about 4 cents on that pair. Actually, wrong one there. We'll go back. Then if we go down to our other EON pairs here, we can go down to EON Euro. And what we have here is obviously not a ton of volume on this pair, but we get a pretty good idea for the pricing here. So we're sitting at about 7 euro cents, which is what, about 11 cents USD on this pair. So a big swath. So on the other BTC pair, we're sitting at 4 cents. On this one, we're sitting at like 10, 11 cents. Big swaths in price here. Lots of volatility and lots of upward potential, of course, like we talked about over the last few weeks. So if you look here at what's actually available at this price point, if you are putting euros in the exchange, there's really not a ton of euro available until, I guess, about this level here, about 15 euro cents. And for a substantial buyer, wow, I mean, geez, it's really jumping up here. You can see that there's only a couple thousand, not even, yeah, actually about 2,500 euros before we get to the 46 cent level. So that's a big jump, obviously, between where we are now and where we are then. But you can see it steadily increments up. And again, guys, I would not be shocked if we start seeing these numbers happen, because all it takes is really one trade to do that. Now, of course, if we go on to the USDT side here, the USD Tether side for EON, there is a bit available here around the 4 to 5 cent mark. So that's kind of matching off with our other BTC side, but then it does raise rapidly. We're only talking like a few $100s here before we get to 10. And even geez, like this is like what, not even $1,000 here before we get up to the 20 cent USD mark. But to get a bigger picture of what's going on, we need volume, of course. But let's take a look now over at the swap. Now, overall, as you can see, volume is definitely down over the last 24 hours. But you have to kind of, in order to see what's happening, you have to kind of go into each individual pair and see the previous transactions. This one only shows 24 hours there. But if we go back to our tokens here and we check out kind of the liquidity of what's happening, we do have still pretty good liquidity, not as much as we had during the contest, obviously, but we're still sitting at around 100,000 or just shy of 100,000 euros within the swap, and I'm sure that will gain as we have more pairs coming in. But Nimera and currently EON, or the future Nion, does have the highest liquidity at 34, just shy of 35,000 euros. Now, of course, you can always click into these. You could always see the current exact price, but in order to see the price versus the other pair, you have to go into that other pair as well. And then on this, we can see the liquidity from that itself. So in order to see the total liquidity and how it's split up, you can click the pairs themselves. And we can see that it's split with 840,000 EON available and about half a BTC. Now we can also go in on these pairs and see the last swap transactions that did take place, where people, I mean, I'm not surprised right now to see a transaction swapping EON for BTC, because obviously nobody knows where this BTC train is going to end. I think obviously it's due for a correction like any healthy market would be, but there is a lot of push on there to get that price up to $50,000 USD, and we'll see if that can actually be achievable, and of course if it can be maintained, which is fairly doubtful in the short term anyways. Long term for sure, BTC is deflationary, but yes, we are seeing that on the swap. There's definitely some activity moving around from BTC. But overall, yeah, liquidity looks good and the swap is easy to use, but nothing major to report on it this week. Now in global market news for this week, wow, things are still rallying. BTC over the last 7 days is still up about 20% at the time of recording this video. Of course, volatility is high and we are still waiting for a correction. Now, of course, corrections do not always occur, but when we have a rapid rise and increase like this, we can expect, if we're going to be safe about it, a correction at some point. Now, I know BTC, from the way I'm looking at it, is trying to fight its way to 50,000 US. This is a big milestone marker. We've already hit massive milestones, 30,000, 40,000. Amazing stuff. So it's pulling back off of those big numbers, but I think we're going to see a drive towards it. The big question here is if the markets can sustain. Now, of course, you will notice a lot of green behind me on the last 7 days, because we do have a lot of cryptocurrency projects that are riding this trail, and this is a good thing to see adoption spreading across the board. Now, another thing that I will note is that when you do see BTC start to correct a little bit, a lot of that money is going to move into other projects, and that could really kick off the new altcoin season. Well, guys and girls, we cannot end the week without giving away $25 worth of Nion. So basically, if this is your address above me, then you have won $25 worth of Nion. I will be sending that to you over the next couple of days. If you want to know how to win, basically you just have to put an EON address in the comments section below. That enters you for next week's video. Now, speaking of next week's video, oh yeah, and you do have to like and subscribe first. Well, you have to be a subscriber, and hopefully you'll like. Anyways, just another reminder, guys. Next week, we have the AMA, so it's going to be maybe a little bit of a different timeline. I might be able to have it out on Saturday, or it could be Tuesday, but I will keep you guys up to date in the Discord about what is happening, because we have to not only record it, but then translate it and then make the actual press release so you guys can have a digital copy and all that. It takes a lot of work in the background, but we will get it done, because I think this is going to be a really important one that could start a good ground floor for the project for 2021. So thank you again for watching. For Nimera Talk, I'm Triple A.